this person in the middle here is one of our guides there, Peter, and that's the three of us on one of the islands. And this is, it's kind of hard to see, but it's a juvenile Andean condor, which is the biggest bird in the world. It has a 7-foot wingspan, I think.
Does this bird live in the Galapagos?
No, it's not in the Galapagos. It's in Ecuador, the mainland of Ecuador. And we saw it from a distance, so it's this picture is taken through a spotting scope.
Who took all these pictures? Sorry, Sam told me I could interrupt him if he forgot things.
I took all the pictures.
Yes.
And this is it's a great hummingbird. It's like that big, and it can actually still hover and fly backwards, which is really cool because it looks like a normal bird. I think it's probably the biggest that a bird can possibly get and still be able to hover and fly backwards. And they also have some very interesting plants on the mainland, and I don't know what that's called, but it's some type of plant that's very This is another type of hummingbird. It's a sparkling violet ear hummingbird, and because it has a violet ear, but it's kind of like this. And that was also on the mainland. Okay. And those are some more sparkling violet ear hummingbirds at a ear. And then this is in the Galapagos. This is snorkeling. It's a shark. Obviously. While we were snorkeling, we got pretty close, maybe 2 feet away, but they were small. It's a white-tipped reef shark.
Why do people go to the Galapagos, Sam? What's special about the Galapagos Islands?
Because the animals there aren't scared of you, so they won't fly away like the gulls or the crows or anything here. And they're also very beautiful, but they don't fly away, so you can get like that far away from them and take pictures of birds. And some of these birds.
Is the Galapagos best known for their birds?
I guess so.
Yeah, there's some other animals too, huh, that you're going to show, besides birds.
Yeah. But this is, like the shark. This is a frigate bird. They are very beautiful, but they're also very mean. They don't catch their own food. The other birds catch the food, and then they pester them until they give them the food, and if the blue-footed boobies or whatever it is doesn't give them the food, then they tear the bird apart and eat their food. And it's kind of ironic because they're very mean, but the two types of frigate birds are great frigate birds and magnificent frigate birds, even though they're very And this is a Sally Lightfoot crab. It's one of the only places in the world, not the only, but one of the only places in the world that has crabs like this. They're bright orange, and this is, it's hard to see, but this is actually in a bar in the Galapagos, like we would have here, except there's crabs and sea lions in the bar, so it's very, very, that is awesome. And this is called a vermilion flycatcher. My picture's a little bit blurry because it's kind of far away. But it's really bright red, and it's the same species that's found in Texas, but it's rare in Texas, and so we're very lucky to see it. And this will they're all marine iguanas, which is the only place in the world that have iguanas that can actually swim underwater. Because regular iguanas, like the green iguanas that you would find in Florida, don't go underwater, but these ones do. And so this is like this huge pile of them on one island, and it was very cool, but it's also very smelly because the mud there wasn't really mud; it was iguana poop, and so you were walking in it, and it was kind of smelly. Yeah, Kaz.
So did you actually get to touch one of them?
You can get like that far away from, as you can see, the iguanas, and other things like that, but there is actually a no touching rule since most of the species there are so rare. And also, okay, so right there you can see that one of the people in our group is covering their nose because it smells so bad. And that's a close-up of like an iguana. You can kind of see them how they have the like mohawkish stuff. And these things, some of it is actually salt crystals because they feed in the ocean and they go in the ocean a lot, and the salt gets stuck up there and they can't reach it.
He's like, I have a question.
Mhm.
Because his fingers like this.
This is one feeding on the algae, on this basically really small island made out of algae that was really close off the shore. And I didn't get any of the others in the picture, but in this same picture, in this same scene, there was the iguanas and sea lions and turtles and flightless cormorants, which are just like the cormorants we have here, like the birds that nest by the ocean, except they actually can't fly, so they have these short, stubby wings. And so, like, when you first see one, you say, "Oh no, that one's sick," and then you look at all of them and say, "Oh, they're all sick," because they have these really short, stubby wings that sometimes they will fly, but they can't fly away.
How big are those iguanas, Sam?
These ones are like counting tail. Well, it depends. The first ones we saw when we first got there were really small, counting tail, and like that big. But we saw some that were like that big, counting tail. But the bodies were bigger. Really?
Bigger, yeah, more like that.
Okay, but the land iguanas were even big.
Yeah.
Okay.
Counting the tail. But I think I might have pictures of those later. I'm not sure. And this is the same kind of frigate bird that I showed earlier, except that one that I showed earlier was a juvenile. And this one is a male attracting a female with its big red pouch, and it makes this kind of noise. And we got to see them open up really big like that, and it's really funny. Angels are very funny. And then this is a turtle. There was one spot where, like, you expect, if you see like 5 or 6 turtles, it's a good day, but there was one spot where we saw 50 turtles, and it got to one point where, oh, that's just a turtle, but here's a cool new fish on heavens. Yeah, Adam.
Did you guys have good weather or bad weather?
Oh, it was, for all days except 1 or 2, it was really 100 degrees plus, at 9:30 in the morning. So the guides planned the trip really well, because you don't want to be on the islands by 10 o'clock. Even though all the stuff there, you could stay forever. It's so hot, you don't want to be there. So we would go snorkeling and get on the boat and get a snack. And, well, so we wouldn't be on the islands. And some islands, like I'm going to show later, were just actually black lava. They weren't like vegetation or anything. Just black lava, and you don't want to be on black lava when it's 100 plus degrees. So,
Sam, where are the Galapagos Islands?
they are off the coast of the mainland of Ecuador, 600 miles.
Right.
So we had to fly from Ecuador.
But where are they sort of with respect to the globe? Right on the what?
They're right. Let's see. They would be underneath.
There's a line that crosses through them.
Right, they're right on the equator.
Right, which is why it's so hot, huh?
Which is why it's so hot. Yeah. Yeah, nice.
What ocean is it in?
Pacific?
Mm-hmm.
Pacific.
Good question. Yep.
Off the west coast of South America. Yeah.
Yep.
I think that the Galapagos is known for the turtles.
Yeah, they have a lot of different species of turtles and tortoises too,
Mm-hmm.
which I will show later. Cat.
So when you got in the water, was the water like sort of warm?
No, it was nothing like Hawaii, but obviously it was warmer than here because it's a tropical place. But what's very interesting is there's this undercurrent from Indonesia that comes under and then it comes up when it hits the Galapagos. So the water is actually not that warm, but so it's actually too cold for coral. So it's not like Hawaii when there's coral everywhere. There's not really barely any coral, but it's still warm enough for the tropical fish. So it's kind of weird to see tropical fish and turtles swimming over rocks instead of coral. And this, as you can see, the wildlife comes right up to you. There are these baby sea lions. When we first went there, we knew there was going to be sea lions, but we weren't really excited about them because, I mean, we see sea lions whenever we want to here. But these ones, like, you could hold like this. They were the babies. You couldn't hold them like that because you can't touch them. But you would be able to hold them because they were like that big. But you also got to see the females, which you do not see here because all the ones here are males. And so, and the babies will come right up to you and sniff your legs and stuff. Yeah, John.
What type of sea lion are they?
Galapagos sea lions.
Yes, they are. That's right. They're similar to the sea lions, the California sea lions that we have here, but they're smaller. Right.
And yes, they're
Yep.
small. But yeah, everything there seems to be Galapagos. This Galapagos. Whatever. And this is actually, there was that same bar that I showed you, the crab, actually has a sign that said Sea Lions Rescue Lounge, and there were, as you can see in the picture up there were actually sea lions lying on the benches, and here's...
So, who's that in the picture?
That wasn't actually, the sea lion wasn't actually in the resting lounge of the sea lions. It just kind of decided it wanted a little bit more than the resting lounge, so it decided to take one of the recliners. And this person in the other one is our tour guide, who did not actually fall asleep there, just decided to lie there next to the sea lion. But he was our tour guide, so the rules there are, to be a guide, you have to be Ecuadorian, and you have to have a ratio of 1 to 10, one guide per 10 people on your trip. So we had 20 people, so we had 2 guides, and they have to go through how much training? Like 3 years?
Well, they have to go to college
They have to go to
first.
college.
Then they have to
in
do
Ecuador.
2 years of
And 2
special
years of training,
training.
and then they have to get an annual, yearly checkup thingy to make sure they're still at it. And the 2 guides that we had, their names were Billy and Peter, and I showed you Peter back there at the first picture. But they've been doing it for 25 and 26 years. And so they were incredibly knowledgeable. Every leaf you could pick up the ground, they had a whole history for it. They knew everything we could possibly ask. Yeah, what's a ratio? A ratio, it means, it's a math thing, but it basically means, in this case, it means that for every 10 people that were there, there was 1 guide for all of them. And this is, we also saw flamingos. And they were in this brackish water lagoon that people started to mine and make it into a quarry, but then the flamingos liked it there, so they had to find a different place. And I was joking to Mom that this is probably the only place in the world where you can see flamingos and penguins in the same day. And this pod of dolphins swam by us, and the captain honked the get off the boat, there's danger horn, and we were all getting up from lunch, and then he spoke in Spanish with the bartender, and the bartender said, "Dolphins, dolphins," and we all ran outside, and there was this huge bod of dolphins coming there, and this one you can see, it's going really high out of the water, and there's probably more dolphins there than I've seen in my entire life combined. So that was...
How many dolphins have you seen in your entire life?
Before that, I don't know, maybe 500. there had to be 300. Yeah, 300 plus dolphins just swimming right by the boat, and we got to take a look.
Awesome.
And this is, you've seen this picture before, but this is
A penguin.
the penguin. One of the only penguins. We didn't actually see that many penguins. We saw maybe like 6.
The flying
The
flying fish.
It looks like it's flying. But they're very, very fast. They're probably the second fastest thing we saw after those flightless cormorants I was talking about earlier. And they went very fast, so it was very hard to take pictures because you didn't know when they were going to come by. And there weren't like really big groups of them, so it wasn't easy to get out your camera and wait for one to slow down or anything, because they don't slow down, they're chasing fish everywhere. So, but one of the people that was snorkeling a little bit ahead of Mom actually took this picture, said penguin, penguin, and she jumped down and got a fish. And this is a lava lizard. That, as you can see, in some islands we were on black lava, and it's on the black lava. There was one island where Mom was sick, so she actually didn't go on it, but it was like there was barely anything that could possibly live there. I mean, there was most of the things that lived there had lava in the name of what they were, because it was just black lava.
Did they that actual lava?
Yeah, not
Like
moving.
step on it, like
No.
step on it.
But it
burn
was
it,
hot.
and nothing.
We were glad we were wearing it. Yeah, it's kind of cool. But
Kind of like hot obsidian.
yeah, sort of. Yeah.
Because I can
Our
see the
people
burn
there,
right now, but
not in the well. It depends. On some islands, like at the beaches and stuff, they are. But mostly, like, because I mean, the other thing you have to understand that I kind of forgot to talk about was that people only live on 3 islands. And so like I don't remember which island this was on, but whatever island it was, I'm assuming that there wasn't any people on it. So, I mean, tour groups, the tour guides would say you can wear barefoot if you want, or no wearing barefoot. But on this kind of lava, I wouldn't go barefoot because it would scratch your feet really bad.
and it would hurt.
Yeah, it would hurt.
It would
And this is a giant tortoise, Galapagos giant tortoise. And they were huge. They were like the size of this whole desk plus to here. They were really, really, really big. And there was this place where they had a cattle ranch and they used to kick the tortoises out of the ranch. But then they realized it was more lucrative to pay the people to come and see the tortoises and kick the cows out. So there were so it's kind of in between like a place where you're going to see them and in the wild, because I mean the tortoises could go out of there. They're not forcing them, they're not feeding them to stay in there, they're not forcing them to stay in there, but also they do pay people to come look at them. But it was very, very cool, and you could find your tortoise and like get really close. You couldn't come from in front because the tortoise would kind of go and they would duck underneath their shell, but because they would be afraid that you were gonna get them and with something. And so you could only approach them from behind. But yeah, you have a question?
Kind of, did you sit on? Can you sit on one?
Can't sit on one because I'm touching, but otherwise you probably could.
If you brought one,
It'd be too heavy for
let's
you.
go.
No, like if everyone like carried it and put it on the plane, and then you guys shipped it here, and more people took it, and they put it in here, would we be allowed to ride on it?
Probably not, because I couldn't do that.
That'd be too cool here.
Sam, tell about seeing the baby ones. Where did we see baby tortoises?
So we saw the baby ones at the different a couple of different research centers there, and they were like really big.
That's pretty big.
That's pretty big tortoise, yeah. But they were really cute and they looked like fish. And it was really cute to kind of see them. Like they would just lay in one of the research centers where they were feeding them. They just laid out this really long stick of some type of green, and they all would like take their positions on it and start eating. At the same time, it was really, really cute. And they were raising them to put on the different islands because some of the populations were running.
That is so sad.
It's a feral pig. But it's a pest there, but it was very cool for us to see it. So
What do you mean it was a pest there?
it's a pest. I mean that
It killed the other animals
yeah,
because
they
it
don't
was.
want it. They don't want it.
Did it kill everything because it was a feral?
So is it like kind of like a wild boar but bigger?
It's smaller than a wild boar. But what was cool was that our guides had never seen a pig in their 25 years. So it was cool for us to see it. Yeah.
How are they like pests? Do they like bother people?
The feral pigs, they root around and they dig up the plants
Yeah.
that are, some of the plants are sort of endangered, and they dig up some of the plants. And then they also, they'll eat the eggs of the tortoises, for example. That's one thing that they do that's not so good. And the thing about these feral pigs is that they are not native to these islands. People brought them over at some point, and then they escaped and started to breed on the islands, and so people do not want them there, so they're trying to eradicate them.
Yeah.
To get rid of them. Trying to get rid of them.
I don't think so. I think they kill them, but I don't think they make bacon out of them. Because I don't think they would taste very good because they're not real.
Yeah.
But the bacon. No, it's like nobody will go like bacon.
No. Or you could go with this. And this is a Galapagos hawk, which is a very big bird, and you could come very close to them. They wouldn't really mind that you were there. And it was a raptor. We didn't see it catch anything because this one happened to be sitting on a log, but it was very interesting how big they were and how close you could get to them. Yeah.
Did it go under the log at some point, like a little tiny house?
Not that I saw. I don't think so. And this is very sure. This is blue-footed boobies diving in formation. So what they'll do is they'll circle a school of fish, and then all at the same time they'll dive down. And I got this through the spotting scope. And it was very cool to kind of see them.
Sam, point to the birds so that they can tell.
Right there.
Yeah. See them? Okay, good.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool. I know they have blue feet.
They do have blue feet.
Blue eggs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And for a closer picture, this is it's not exactly closer, but this is
You can pass it around, maybe.
Okay, and all of these.
What was your favorite things on the blog?
I would have to say the Freddy birds because I think the pouch is open. But that was close over the baby sea lions and the iguanas. Wait, and the tortoises and turtles.
What
Yeah,
are
I know. The iguanas. They were very cool. And I like the fish, but they were birds. Yeah, guys.
So how close did you get to these birds like that?
Some of them, depends on what bird they were. But so these are Darwin's finches, which so do you guys remember when we had that endangered species packet and there was one section called survival of the fittest?
Yeah.
And there was this thing about this guy named Charles Darwin. So one of the ways that he came up with this idea of the survival of the fittest was that he went to the Galapagos. He was a researcher, and he went to the Galapagos, and he took notes of all these finches on the different islands, and he found out that, with a little help, he found out that there were 13 different kinds of finches, and that each one had adapted to live on whatever island it lived on. So, and then there was also 13 kinds, and so we got really good at identifying them while we were there, but now I can't remember any of them. I'm assuming these are probably all ground finches because they are on the ground. But they would try to confuse you. But the ground finches would go in the trees, and the tree finches would go on the ground. And there was one place on one island where we actually saw at the same time a ground finch in a tree and a tree finch on the ground. And so you could tell between the ground finches and the tree finches and the cactus finches and the woodpecker finches, and you could usually tell between the large ground finch and the small ground finch. But what was hard was there was a large ground finch, a small ground finch, and a medium ground finch. But then there were some medium ground finches that were a bit small and some large ground finches that were a bit small, going to almost medium. So sometimes it was hard to tell if it was a medium or a large or a small ground finch. Yeah.
So, when they were all on the ground, is it like, how big can they get?
How big can they get? I don't know. Not that big. No, not that big. Smaller, but like that big. They're like the finches we have here.
Wait, we have finches here?
But not the Darwin's 13 finches. But the truth is that he actually messed up on the finches. And he wasn't that good at keeping notes of the finches, so he actually had to ask his buddies for a little help, say, hey, which finch was on this island again? Because the real thing he noticed, the difference was the mockingbirds, who really made an impact on what he found out. Maddie.
How long are you at the Galapagos?
In the Galapagos, 8 days, and on the mainland, 6 days.
Are those the biggest ones you guys saw?
The biggest finches? I don't know. These are probably maybe medium or maybe small ground finches. But I think we saw a little bit bigger. Yeah, I don't.
Do any of the different types of finches fight
With each other or with themselves?
against other?
I don't think so. But they fight maybe a little bit within themselves for food, but because they usually, hopefully, so it makes it easier for the researchers and us. Hopefully they stay in the tree and on the ground so that it doesn't get very confusing. Yeah.
What's a finch?
It's a really small bird. That's like that big.
Let's let Sam go to this next slide, and then we'll take up a few more questions after, okay?
That might be, no, I got one more. Okay, so do you remember when we watched Night at the Museum 2 in class, and there was that statue called the Thinker that was going like that? Well, I think that this tortoise was pretending to be the Thinker. It's kind of going like that. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's it. Yep, that's it. Okay, any questions?
What do you mention?
They eat, well, it depends. The cactus finches eat the flowers from the cactus, and the ground finches eat seeds, and the tree finches eat stuff on the trees. Out.
So, like, how many islands are all together in the Galapagos?
There's 7 big islands, 42 islets, and about 150, like, rock formations. Yes.
Did any of the animals try to attack you?
No, but there was one incident where, so there are sea lions lying on some of the paths in the Galapagos, which was really kind of weird. So usually you walk by them and there's no problem. They just don't really mind that you're there. But there was one instance where a sea lion, kind of got up in our way when we tried to walk past it, and the guy just took his hat off and threw it at the sea lion, and the sea lion ran down the path. And we didn't really have trouble with any of the animals. Good question. Yeah, what's that?
I have a comment.
Yep.
Its shell kind of looks like a helmet.
Oh, should I talk about that?
You want to talk about that? Sure.
Okay.
There's two
Let me
kinds.
answer all the questions though first.
Okay.
I'll tell you that you okay. Abner.
What was the funniest thing you saw?
Oh my gosh. First thing I saw.
What made you laugh?
There was a couple of things. One of them was, so baby sea lions come up and smell your shoes and see if you're their mama. And one baby sea lion, so I met 2 friends on this trip. They were 2 12-year-old twin boys, and their dad, the sea lion, came up and sniffed their dad's shoes, and it ran away because they smelled so bad. Jasmine.
Out of any of the animals you saw, which one would you think you would be if you were an animal?
I don't know. That's a good. Yeah. Yes.
Did you see that bird that was really mean to other birds who actually lowered up another bird in half?
No, but we did see them chasing the boobies. So.
Cool. Wait, what was that? That animal that you saw? I think it was like a turtle. The one that you said, not that one, the other one.
The turtle? The turtle or the tortoise?
The tortoise, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, anyways, that one that can be very big.
Oh yeah, the tortoise.
Okay, anyways, somebody in my family, they have a turtle.
Yeah.
And it's like really big.
Yeah.
And it has like that on its shell. And I think it might be
It's not a Galapagos tortoise. Oh. I don't think this other
No, they're not allowed to take them out of the country
Really
anymore.
big and had those little tails of that on it.
a lot of species of tortoises do. Yeah.
What was the cutest thing you saw?
It was. Maybe probably the sea lion. Yes.
So, did they have any like stuff like washers or anything?
What do you mean?
Like washers and dryers?
Well, on the islands that people lived on, there were those in the houses and hotels.
But where did we stay when we were there?
When we stayed, we slept and ate and everything on a boat. So we were sleeping on the boat, and it moved from island to island overnight. And so that was very kind of weird to be waking up and moving. And usually they tried to move when we were either asleep or between activities, not when you were eating, so that we wouldn't get seasick. But there was one night where they did move while we were eating, and I got kind of seasick, and so did I. Yeah,
What was the most interesting thing?
Probably the boobies coming really close because you can see them really. Yeah, you're not allowed to do that because you can't touch them. Oh, if I could, yeah. I would have kept probably some of the lizards, the lava lizards.
I would have kept the seal.
Those were good.
What was the interesting is being underwater? And I would be good because so when you were walking, did any of them like come up and like just stare at you?
Not really. They didn't really come up.
So I mean, did the blue-footed goobers like walk or like?
Yeah, they did walk away because their
walk like
feet.
this?
Yeah, their feet are webbed, so they have to take really big steps. So they kind of walk like that. So it was very funny. My dad can imitate very well their dance that they do. The mating dance is very funny. And their mating dance, sometimes it's hard to tell if they're doing the mating dance or if they're just walking, because their mating dance is what it's doing in the picture, kind of like that. But they have to walk like that, so it's hard to tell what they're doing sometimes. Okay, any more questions? Because I'm going to say the thing about the tortoises. Okay, good. So the tortoises, there's two different types of tortoises. So this one is called the flatback, I guess.